Hello, and welcome to another GIS report with Health in Perspective. This is part 2 of a two-part feature bringing you vital information regarding men's health as part of Red Cross's annual cancer screening and men's health fair. We are going to rejoin the program with Nurse Block as she educates us on diabetes. Now, Nurse Block, we are here. We're seeing what's going on here today in terms of the various screening, and one of the things that we are concerned about in our population here is diabetes. Can you give us some information in terms of education of how we can lower our chances of being in contact with this disease? Yes.
Okay. Well, one of the main things is to keep your weight under control. So there is a chart where you can find out your height and your weight, so you know if you are in the right range. So keep that. And then exercise, you know how we love to use the car nowadays, so we don't walk anymore. But walking is one of the best exercises you can have, so get your heart rate going. At least 3 to 5 times a week. And eat healthy. And by eating healthy, it means lots of vegetables, steamed, no big heaps of rice, with a small amount, like the palm of your hand amount of rice. Preferable brown rice, and if you eat bread, brown bread or whole wheat bread. Lots of water, herbal tea is fine. Stay away if you can from the sodas. Sodas really are bad. And even the fruit juices, stay away because they have a lot of refined sugars. So it's much better to have a piece of fruit and a glass of water. Yeah? So again, it's important to know if diabetes runs in your family. So if that is the case, you can have an A1C done, what is a 3 months average. So then you know if you are non-diabetic, pre-diabetic or diabetic. So you can even keep a tighter rein on exercising, eating healthy, keeping weight under control. Yeah?
Well, that's definitely some good tips, and we do encourage persons to, paying attention to what you just said and try their best to improve their health. But one question I do have, you said stay away from sodas and refined sugars and eat a piece of fruit and drink some water, right? Is the sugar in fruit the same as refined sugar? Because you hear this debate, mango, sugar apples, we love these kinds of things here in the Caribbean. So is it on par with refined sugars, or is it totally different?
No, because in the fruit juices you have no fibers. In your fruit you get the fibers. And again, it's not. Just imagine if you're going to press an orange, you only have a little bit of juice in your glass, right? And that is about between 80, depends on the orange, 80, 90 calories to 100 calories. If you want a glass, that is at least 3 to 5 oranges. So what is a lot of juice? If you have a juicer and you put 1 apple in your juicer, you get very little juice. So and you take all the fibers out, what gives you a full feeling feeling, and it doesn't have the fibers, so you produce less stool. So that is why I would say, unless you are diabetic and your blood sugar goes very low, if you're on insulin, then use a little bit of juice, but otherwise cut it out. And I would say especially the children. When you are doing your lunchbox for the children, do not give them the tins with soda or the bottles with fruit juice. Don't. Give them milk or water and a piece of fruit.
Well, thank you very much, Nurse Black. I really do appreciate that information, and we hope that our listening audience, our viewing audience also pays keen attention to what you said.
My pleasure. Okay.
We're here with the Chief of Drugs and Pharmaceuticals, Mrs. Gracia Wheatley Smith. Mrs. Smith, tell me about your operation here today.
Well, basically, I am just giving medical information to anyone who stops at the table. As you can see, we have our asthma series, Asthma 101. So we have our books. These are parents, so they may have children who have asthma or grandchild or just know a neighborhood child. So they are free to take them. We are demonstrating how to use our spacer, right? Along with our inhaler for individuals who have difficulty coordinating, pressing and breathing in. They can just put the medication there with the press and breathing at their own pace, and that can help. I am also explaining the use of the peak flow meter to tell you when you're having a good day, you can go about your normal activities, and when you're going to get a pending attack, and when you should visit the hospital because definitely you would have an attack. So the peak flow meter, along with the spacer and the books, will help us all control our asthma better. I'm also giving out brochures on 7 tips to avoid medication mistakes, on drug and food interaction, because a lot of times we take our food and we drink and we don't think anything is wrong, but a lot of the food and the drink that we take do have interactions with the medication. So I'm enlightening individuals about that. I'm speaking to them on how to keep their medication safe during the hurricane season when we may not have any electricity, and warning about the dangers of counterfeit medication. I'm also distributing self-assessment tests, medication record forms, and just tips on speaking to your pharmacist about medication safety, as well as explaining about severe asthma adverse reaction, and speaking about the little card that they can get once they have an allergic reaction, the little card they can get that's the size of a credit card that they can keep with them and give to the doctor while they're visiting the doctor here, or even they can take it with them when they're going on a trip overseas. Because it's very important, and it can be very, very important, especially when it comes to saving our lives because of reactions we've had before.
And how has the traffic been to your booth?
Oh, the traffic has been very good. Individuals are very, very interested in the information, and they're getting goodies to walk with. We have a tablet containing, and we have the one that can attach to your keys that you can take if you slip your paracetamol or your vitamins in on your key, as I have here. And you can take with you anywhere, so you'll never be out of paracetamol. So if you have a headache, you would always have that. So they do appreciate the information that they're getting, and I'm very happy to share with them. You're so welcome.
I'm representing the Hewlett Wellness Center. I'm here with my wife, Lillian, a registered acupuncturist. And what we're trying to do today is to give people the benefits of the traditional Chinese medicine through something called the AcuGraph, which is a machine which measures the energy in the body. It measures the energy, and we're able to see from the printout what healthy organs you have inside your body. And of course, using traditional Chinese medicine, we can remedy that, without actually using drugs. Yeah, so we don't actually, at our center, we don't sell any medicines or any products, but one, and that's herbs. Chinese herbs, which we order specifically for a specific treatment. If you don't want to actually use those herbs, we can actually recommend foods, normal foods, that you would eat that would help you to bring your body back into its normal balance.
Well, Mr. Hewlett, you definitely piqued my interest, because I'm somewhat of a naturalista myself, and anything natural, I co-sign for. So,
intended us to be people who can heal ourselves, and so we encourage people to be still, meditate, pray, and calm themselves so that their own internal forces can heal them in the way that God intended it to be.
And I understand you're doing some sort of body mass index test as well. Talk to us about that.
We also have a scale that is able to measure the body mass index of a person. Now, this is a measurement that can be used to test whether or not you're overweight, and it's regardless of sex or age. It uses your height and your age and makes an average so that your body mass index, which should be about 27, 29, is measured accurately. The machine is quite complex because it measures things like your visceral fat, that's the fat around your organs, as well as the body fat, which is the fat that you can reduce by exercising. But the visceral fat, you can only get rid of that if you eat properly. So a lot of people come to us and we're able to tell them whether or not they need to change their eating habits or get more exercise or do both. Yeah.
Mr. Hewlett, you're gonna have to let me try out your machines today, because I need to know for sure, what the level of my health is, and if you would allow me to, I'd definitely like to.
Definitely, we'll be very happy. One of the interesting things that the body mass index machine does is it gives you a virtual age depending on the health of your internal organs. Some people walk away happy because their virtual age is less than their actual age. And some people, unfortunate to say, are given also good news, because it's an alarm when you find out that internally you're actually older than you are. And so it's a wake-up call for many people. Even people who go and work out, they should come and see us so that we can tell them, hey, there's certain things you need to change so that you can be perfectly healthy.
And when you come across someone whose virtual age is more than their actual age, what type of things do you recommend to try to get that back in balance?
Well, of course, it'll vary for each person, but some of the things that the machine will tell us is how much skeletal muscle you have on your body. If your percentage of skeletal muscle is too low, then you need to start doing more exercise. If your body fat is too high, same thing. If your viscous fat is too high, visceral fat, sorry, then you need to start watching what you eat. Get off the junk food. Start eating meats with less fat, or chop off the fat if you can, and drinking water instead of juices, things like that. And so we can give lots of natural remedies for people, because we don't believe in drugs, so we try to get people away from drugs as much as possible, or anything that can be addictive. My wife and I read something by Thomas Edison online the other day, last night in fact, that said people go to the doctor to get medicine, and after they get the medicine, then they need treatment for the medicine they just received. Wow. And that was a quote from something said years ago by Thomas Edison. So we have to be careful what we're putting in our bodies, not just medicine, but regular food. We read another quote that said, your food should be your medicine, and your medicine should be your food. So we've got to start watching what we pick off the store and put into our shopping carts. And we advise people not necessarily on specifically what to buy, but on the healthy choices that people can make so that they can start making their lives naturally healthy.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hewlett.
Not at all, my pleasure. So please stop by Hewlett Wellness Center anytime you get a chance, and we'll give you some more of this information.
Okay, this is the station where the blood is prepared for the lab, and we use a centrifuge that separates the serum from the cells, and I will let one of the ladies talk to you about the procedure.
Hello, good morning. My name is Maria, and I'm volunteering today with the BVI Red Cross at the annual prostate cancer screening. This is our makeshift lab. What happens, well, as you can see, when the participants come, they would register at the front desk. They would get a number, and that number becomes their ID for that process. The number is placed on 2 test tubes, and their personal information like their name and their date of birth is also placed on both test tubes. So when they go over where the blood is extracted, the blood would go into one of the test tubes, and both test tubes would come here. What would happen once we get the sample, the blood sample, we would put it over there, as Miss Fred spoke about, and it would spin roughly 5 to 7 minutes. That process separates the blood. When it comes to us, we, the volunteers here, would take one of the transfer pipettes. It's just a simple thing. We take the pipette, we would open the blood, the blood sample rather, that has already spun, and a simple process, can you get me 117? Simple process of transferring the plasma from the blood. So we would do this, okay? So it's very simple. Off you go and you get it perfect. Okay, and you would put it in the empty test tube. Of course, that becomes garbage. Can I have a cover for this one? 117. And this would go to the lab. Thanks to People's Hospital, they would do the analysis, and the result would come back to the Red Cross. It's a simple process.
Well, why do they take so much of your blood if they only need this little bit of plasma? Because you threw the whole vial of blood away.
Well, I'm not a medical officer, but some persons we get a lot of blood from them during the extraction process, and other persons we get less. So this one we just got a lot. We would look at this one. We got so much more than this. But what we really need is the plasma. Okay, not the red part of the blood. Okay? You're welcome.
Well, this is the last station. This is where we provide refreshments for the men. Once they have done all their tests, especially their blood sugar and cholesterol, they're free to eat, and so we provide them with refreshment. Our caterers this year are ENA Catering and Geneva Maduro. I don't remember the name. JND Catering. They are our caterers. So today we had ENA and tomorrow we'll have JND. So the men are given usually fruits in the morning, some tea, bush tea or coffee, and then some sandwiches later in the morning.
Now, Mr. Clark, what inspired you to come here today?
Well, I'm getting a little younger, so to speak, so I want to make sure that my health is in its best state possible. So I want to come and check to make sure that my prostate is in good health.
Now, we are aware that sometimes men don't take that keen interest in their health unless, it's very terminal or at the end when they just can't do anything about it. Now, do you fall in one of those categories in terms of, are you scared coming here today? And do you think that that paradigm is shifting? Because as I look here, I am impressed to see the amount of men here today. It's kind of making me rethink what I actually just said to you. So how do you see that in light of, the many participants here today and even you being a young man coming out today?
Well, it has been said that men tend not to take care of their health. They wait until something is terminally wrong before they come and go to the doctor. But I believe that the fact that this prostate cancer screening has been going on for a while, most men have become aware of the importance, and then you find that men have dropped that pride, because this is something that took some effort for me in the inception, because the way the test is done, I was skeptical about it. But after I got here the first time, this is about my 4th year doing it, so some of the inhibitions have disappeared. So more or less, I know what to expect now, and it's not as bad as most men, think it is. It's a simple process. Of course, at first, you may have to, get over the fear, but it takes about 5 minutes, and there's maybe a slight discomfort, but it's nothing painful. So I would advise men to come and get their prostate screened to make sure they're in good health, because once it gets to the stage where it's cancerous and it progresses, it could be terminal. So I'll suggest you come and check to make sure that you're okay.
Now, in terms of other men, because we have a population of some 20,000, and we see in here maybe 200 people, so still a large part of the cross section of men here in the Virgin Islands is not here attending this free screening. So, how would you inspire other people, other young men, to come out and start that process to ensure that they take care of their health?
Okay, I must say that it's a 2-day screening process. So today is a work day, so I don't think you'll see the crowd as compared to tomorrow, because I usually come on a Saturday, but I'm taking advantage of this smaller crowd today. But in terms of inspiring young men to come, what I would like to say is that from the age of 35 onward, it is advisable that you see a doctor. Even if you don't come to this particular screening, you should have a physician that you go to get an annual checkup to make sure that your cholesterol is okay, your blood pressure, your blood sugar level, and of course for men the important prostate cancer screening. So what I would suggest is that if you want to live a long, healthy life, the earlier you start, the better it is, because if there's something happening that is abnormal within your system, you're given the chance to catch it early, and then you can do something about it. Yeah.
Now, my final question to you, you've taken a step, you're coming here to ensure that, the requisites are met. But what else are you doing towards that healthier lifestyle, towards that longer life, towards a healthier you? What else are you doing to ensure that you're here a long, long time to be with your family?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because, over the past year or two, I've started eating less meat. It's more a vegetarian diet for me. Exercise has always been a part of my life. I was an athlete since I was in school, and I've continued being athletic. I go to the gym at least 3 times a week, and in between I go walking. So I'm doing my exercise to stay forever young, if I can achieve that.
Well, thank you so much for the time you spent talking to us, and we hope that other people are inspired by what you said today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I do hope I inspired somebody to take control of their health.
I think it's very important, and I commend the BVI Red Cross for doing this on an annual basis, of course with the help of their partners and so forth, because for us men who often not visit the doctors and so forth, we get a chance to really see what's going on with our prostate. And I've been checking, in the Caribbean we have a very high rate of prostate cancer. I noticed Jamaica and a couple other countries are high on the chart. So for us here, right here in the BVI, it's important that we pay attention to our prostate health. In many cases, we know our grandfathers and so forth, when they died, it was usually because of prostate or poor prostate health. So I think that as we live longer into our 80s and even 90s, as happened a couple of decades ago when we were seeing a lot of men surviving past the age of 80, we need to make sure that our health is really up there, and this is really great. This is commendable.
Now, are you seeing as a young person a paradigm shift in men right now towards a more healthier lifestyle, towards even attending some of these screenings and taking care of their health?
I can say that because last day I was here and I did some interviews with some of the men, and the stigma associated with getting checked and the process involved in getting checked and so forth, men are over that now. They're realizing, listen, my health is important, and what's required of the doctors to check me and make sure that I'm okay, I'm going to go and do that. Of course, there's blood tests now that you can do. So yes, I see that men, young and not so young, middle-aged and so on, are really taking on the idea of, or embracing the idea of getting checked.
Now, as a young man yourself and a visible icon on the news and what's not, what type of words of encouragement can you give to your peers and your counterparts to encourage them to live healthier lives by doing these checks and also leading a healthier lifestyle in terms of exercising and what they put into their bodies?
Well, certainly, as it relates to exercise, I try to find time, which is so limited sometimes, but certainly exercise, staying physically fit. I try to stay involved in sports and so forth. I would encourage men to do that. A lot of guys go to the gym and so forth. Many young men today are seen walking, and that's also commendable. But certainly, as it relates to getting checked in terms of your health, that the things that you can see, those things are important. Eating healthy is also critical. I know we're gonna, get involved in different activities. We're gonna imbibe on different drinks and so forth. But what we need to do is make sure that we balance strive for that balance so that our health is not compromised while we enjoy life, so to speak.
Young men of the BVI Red Cross is providing you with a free service where you can have screening for blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure, and you can have various other health providers providing you with your BMI checks. You can have massages, you can get education about drugs, and there's a nutritionist as well who will talk to you about your eating habits and eating practices, as well as exercise tips. We had body images here, giving the men some exercise tips, and tomorrow we will have Census Gym.
Thank you very much again, Ms. Fred.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for showcasing what we're doing here at the BVI Red Cross. We want to thank again all of our supporters, all of our donors, and all the health providers for coming out here today. And thank you, GIS, for being here.
Thank you for tuning in to this GIS program, where today we were at the BVI Red Cross's Men's Health Fair today, and we got to learn so much about different testing, hypertension, diabetes, prostate. We learned so much, and we want to encourage men, young men, middle-aged men, and older men to go ahead and attend these various health screenings and to do what they need to do to ensure their health as we all forge towards a healthier Virgin Islands. So, reporting for the Ministry of Health and Social Development, I'm Public Health Communications Specialist Natasha Letzum. Thanks for tuning in.